Stargirl Chapter 32. We're at the very top of page 127 on the PDF. Chapter 32. That was 15 years ago. 15 Valentine's Days. I remember that sad summer after the Ocotillo ball just as clearly as everything else. One day, feeling needy, empty, I walked over to her house. A for sale sign pierced the ground out front. I peered through a window. Nothing but bare walls and floors. I went to see Archie. Something in his smile said he had been expecting me. We sat on the back porch. Everything seemed as usual. Archie lighting his pipe, the desert golden in the evening sun. Senor Saguaro losing his pants. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. Where? I said. A corner of his mouth winked open and a silky rumple of smoke emerged, paused as if to be admired, then drifted off past his ear. Midwest, Minnesota. Will I ever see her again? He shrugged. Big country, small world. Who knows? She didn't even finish out the school year. No, just vamoosed. It's only been weeks, but it seems like a dream. Was she really here? Who was she? Was she real? He looked at me for a long time, his smile wry, his eyes twinkling. Then he shook his head as if coming out of a trance. He deadpanned. Oh, you're waiting for an answer? What were the questions again? Stop being nutty, Archie. He looked off to the west. The sun was melting butter over the Maricopas. Real? Oh, yes, as real as we get. Don't ever doubt that. That's the good news. He pointed the pipe stem at me. And well named, Stargirl. Though I think she had simpler things in mind. Star people are rare. You'll be lucky to meet another. Star people, I said. You're losing me here. He chuckled. That's okay. I lose myself. It's just my oddball way of accounting for someone I don't really understand any more than you do. So where do stars come in? He pointed the pipe stem. The perfect question. In the beginning, that's where they come in. They supplied the ingredients that became us, the primordial elements. We are star stuff, yes? He held up the skull of Barney, the Paleocene rodent. Barney too, I nodded, along for the ride. And I think every once in a while someone comes along who is a little more primitive than the rest of us, a little closer to our beginnings, a little more in touch with the stuff we're made of. The words seemed to fit her, though I could not grasp their meaning. He saw the vacant look on my face and laughed. He tossed Barney to me. He stared at me. She liked you, boy. The intensity of his voice and eyes made me blink. Yes, I said. She did it for you, you know. What? Gave up herself for a while there? She loved you that much. What an incredibly lucky kid you were. I could not look at him. I know. He shook his head with a wistful sadness. No, you don't. You can't know yet. Maybe someday. I knew he was tempted to say more, probably to tell me how stupid I was, how cowardly, that I blew the best chance I would ever have. But his smile returned and his eyes were tender again, and nothing harsher than cherry smoke came out of his mouth. I continued to attend Saturday meetings of the Loyal Order of the Stone Bone. We did not speak of her again until the following summer, several days before I was about to leave for college. Archie had asked me to come over. He took me out back, but this time not to the porch. Instead, he led me to the tool shed. He slid back the bolt and opened the door, and it was not a tool shed after all. This was her office, he said, and gestured me to enter. Here it was, all the stuff of her activity that I had expected to see in her room at home, the office whose location she would not reveal. I saw wheels of ribbon and wrapping paper, stacks of colored construction paper, cardboard boxes of newspaper clippings, watercolors and cans of paint, a yellow stack of phone books. Tacked to one wall was a municipal map of mica. Hundreds of pins of a dozen different colors pierced the map. There was no indication what they stood for. A huge homemade calendar covered the opposite wall. It had a square for every date in the year. Penciled into the squares were names. Across the top of the calendar was one word, birthdays. There was one dot of color on the whole thing, a little red heart. It was next to my name. Archie handed me a fat family album sort of book. The homemade title said, The Early Life of Peter Sienkiewicz. I flipped through it. I saw the picture she had taken that day, Peter squabbling with the little girls over his beloved banana roadster. I'm to wait 5 years, then give it to his parents, said Archie. He pointed to a filing cabinet in the corner. It had 3 drawers. I opened one. There were dozens of red hanging folders, each with a name tag sticking up. I saw Borlaug. Me. I pulled it out, opened it. There was the birthday notice that appeared in the Micah Times 3 years before, and a profile of me from the school paper, and pictures, candid snapshots of me in a parking lot, me leaving my house, me at the mall. Apparently, Peter Sinkowitz wasn't the only target for her camera. And a sheet of paper with 2 columns, likes and doesn't like. Heading the list of likes was porcupine neckties. Under that was strawberry banana smoothies. I replaced my folder. I saw other names: Kevin, Dory Dilson, Mr. McShane, Danny Pike, Anna Grisdale, even Hillary Kimball and Wayne Parr. I stepped back. I was stunned. This is unbelievable. Files on people, like she was a spy. Archie nodded, smiling. A lovely treason, I could not speak. He led me out into the dazzling light.